Good morning, everyone. My name is Nikita Kanda, and I am the co founder of the Justice for Ronan Kanda campaign. Most importantly, I am Ronan Kanda's older sister. Before I talk to you about what happened to Ronan and why I'm here, today I want to tell you about who Ronan was. Ronan was my only sibling, twins born 5 years apart, as my mum would often describe the bond between us. As his older sister, I always felt super protective of him, especially because I recognised such a rare kindness in Ronan from a very young age. He carried a light with him wherever he went, lighting up every room he entered and everyone around him, including me. I was most happiest in my brother's presence. His dry sense of humour, emotional intelligence, and ability to make you laugh until your belly hurt made him such a bright, amazing young man. These are only a few of the many qualities that he had that made him so special. I always admired Ronan's creativity. He was incredibly artistic, able to draw anime characters and anything you asked for completely free-handed. He had a calm, grounded attitude to life and never let himself be weighed down by unnecessary stress. While most 16-year-olds worried about things like GCSEs, my Ronan would just take each day as it came. He was the calm in any storm, my go-to person for everything, and I can say with certainty he was my soulmate. And I can also say that Ronan absolutely smashed his GCSEs and did way better than he thought, as he did share a little wave of anxiety that he had about his results. But I know my brother's abilities, so I assured him that he had nothing to worry about. Ronan also never got to experience the fruits of his own labour, as he passed away before GCSE results day. Ronan absolutely loved his family and had a beautiful, unique bond with each of us. He was the glue that held us together. He found joy in simple things in life and never asked for much. He was being raised primarily by a single mum who worked so hard to give us everything we needed. It made Ronan deeply grateful, and he never wanted to add to her stress. He truly was a jack of all trades, a talented, kind, giving young man. Ronan's friends described him as a life of the party. They said that their group hasn't been the same since he passed away, and in the days after his death, hearing from so many people in the community sharing stories about him has been one of the biggest blessings. One message that really stood out to me came from a younger boy who said Ronan had stood up for him when he was being bullied. That's the kind of person my Ronan was, a brave, caring, and full of life young man. I can't put into words how proud I am to be his sister. Ronan, you truly were a gem. I could probably spend all day and share amazing stories about my brother to you, as he was just that guy and a true role model to many young people out there today. On the 27th of June 2022, I said goodbye to my brother as I was leaving for my first girls' trip to Greece. I went up to his room and he was sitting at the foot of his bed, and I said, "Come over here," before giving him a big hug and a kiss on the head. I walked out the door not knowing that would be the last time I would ever see my brother alive again. A couple of days later, on the 29th of June 2022, I had no idea what life had in store for me, my brother, and my parents. It was a normal sunny day in Greece, and I was doing what any 21-year-old on holiday would be doing. As evening came around, I'd had a few cocktails and decided to call my brother, as it was a little tradition of ours that whenever I'd had a drink, I'd ring him for a little chat and absolutely annoy him and ramble on. But this time, he didn't pick up, and I remember feeling absolutely fuming at him because he always answered my calls. About half an hour later, I received a message from a friend who lived up the road from us, saying that a 16-year-old boy had reportedly been stabbed. I was worried, of course, but it never crossed my mind that it would be my 16-year-old brother. I decided to call my dad, who was awfully silent on the phone when I called him, but breathing extremely heavily. I jumped up in an instant and said, "Dad, are you okay?" And he responded, "Boy is gone." He used to call my brother Boy, so I was pretty confused and thought surely he'd got it wrong. He then gave the phone to my mum, whose scream I can still hear echoing today. And I was then able to put two and two together. I then had to fly back to the UK knowing that my baby brother had been stabbed to death. Ronan was stabbed by two 16-year-old boys who had mistaken him for someone else. They attacked him from behind with a 22-inch ninja sword. It's actually one of the swords that's over there. Stabbing him 20 centimetres through his abdomen and 17 centimetres through his chest. It pierced all the way through my brother's beautiful heart. Ronan tried to run home, but collapsed on the road just 30 seconds away from our house. He stood no chance. Fast forward to April 2023, the start of a month-long murder trial, which my family and I attended every single day. We had no idea what to expect. None of us had ever been in a courtroom before. On the first day, the prosecution opened the trial by showing the courtroom the 22-inch ninja sword that had pierced my brother's heart. It was truly a shocking moment. Until that day, we had never actually pictured the weapon used to kill Ronan, and we certainly never imagined it to be a sword. I'll never forget my mum fainting when she saw it. The thought of that sword piercing her only son's heart was simply too much to bear. I had so many questions. How was a weapon like that even available for a 16-year-old to get their hands on? As the trial went on, more truths were revealed and systemic failures became painfully clear. And one of the biggest was that my brother's killer was a self-admitted arms dealer. He regularly bought and sold horrifying weapons, knives, swords, machetes, and was selling them to others. Shockingly, he was buying them all online from a website called DNA Leisure. The site openly sold dangerous weapons with minimal checks and easy access for anyone. They were marketed almost like toys, affordable, colourful, and disturbingly easy and cheap for children to buy. The truth about how the killer obtained the sword used to take my brother's life also came to light. He had ordered it from the website and opted for the next day collection from the local post office. On the day of Ronan's murder, he went to collect the sword, and despite there being clear markings on the package to show ID, to be shown ID upon collection, no ID checks were carried out. The post office failed to do their job, and within hours of collecting it, he used that sword to kill my brother. He wasn't stopped at any moment in his tracks. I felt exposed to a world that we had never been a part of. Seeing these types of weapons firsthand was deeply disturbing, and learning just how easily they could be bought was frightening beyond words. We were able to alert the local community with the atrocities we faced and organised a march in Wolverhampton, which 200 people shouted, "Say his name," and demanded change with us. I also took it upon myself to write a letter to the owner of DNA Leisure, Adam Elias, informing him about the devastation his trade had caused and that the weapons he was selling were being used to murder innocent people, including my brother. His reply was appalling. He said things like, "People collect my weapons away, others collect stamps. The law allows me to sell these weapons, and it's not the weapons, it's the people. 99% of my customers are law-abiding citizens." Don't know how he knows that. Reading the response angered me. There was no remorse, no empathy, and no recognition of the pain his business had caused, only excuses. And the fact that the sword used to kill my brother was still readily available to buy was something we knew couldn't continue, and we had to stop it by any means possible. With the help of our heroic local MP at the time, Pat McFadden, we were able to meet with the government ministers at the time. However, repeating our story to them countless times and sharing it through the media still wasn't enough to achieve the one outcome we so desperately wanted, to ban the ninja sword. We even wrote an open letter to the Prime Minister at the time, calling for the ban on ninja swords and other lethal weapons, which got over 10,000 signatures signed and sealed and sent to Parliament. Still nothing. That all changed, however, when we got a Labour government come into power. My mum met with Sir Keir Starmer before he came into power, and he promised her that he would help us ban that ninja sword. He stayed true to his word and made this issue a national priority. Thanks to the commitment, we began to see real action and meaningful change. The journey since then has been somewhat remarkable, and it has led us to what we now call Ronan's Law. This landmark legislation bans ninja-style swords, including a wide range of stronger safety measures to protect our communities. As of August 1st, 2025, it has become illegal to possess, manufacture, sell, or import ninja-style swords, defined as having a blade between 14 and 24 inches. The law also enforces stricter online regulations, requiring retailers to report suspicious or bulk knife purchases, apply two-step age verification, and carry out photo ID checks, increases penalties for selling knives to under 18s with prison terms rising from 6 months to 2 years, introduces a new offence for possessing an offensive weapon with intent to cause violence, punishable by up to 4 years in prison, holds tech executives accountable with fines for failing to remove content that glorifies or advertises knife sales, launches a targeted police enforcement unit to monitor illegal online knife sales. These measures mark a turning point, proof that when promises are matched by action, real progress is possible. The government have shown real intent in tackling this problem head on and ensuring it is dealt with properly. In the lead up to Ronan's law, the government ran a ninja sword surrender scheme which saw over 7,500 weapons surrendered. Those figures are incredible. It shows the government's intent and seriousness when it comes to the problem. It also shows the scale of the problem as well as the seriousness of the response. I have no doubt that this new knife crime centre will make an incredible difference. The online sale of dangerous weapons is something that should never be taken lightly. We know that young people have been targeted online and that these weapons are not harmless objects. They are being used to enable, inflict and escalate violence. And that is why decisive action is so important. The easy availability, the way they have been allowed to be sold freely, and the design of them have no doubt enabled a growing problem and widely contributed to the culture behind knife crime. I can also confirm that by speaking out against DNA Leisure, we were also able to link them to at least 14 other murders in which weapons they sold were involved. It is important that we have barriers in place, like laws and knife crime centres like this, to stop people profiting off knife crime and facing little to no punishment, and ensure that weapons are not being sold easily. I also encourage the government to keep working on a licensing system to ensure people selling knives for whatever purpose are held accountable, and to integrate a system for buyers to also be held accountable. We must ensure loopholes remain closed and do not get found when legislation is made. I cannot thank the Prime Minister enough for keeping his word. And I'd also like to thank the former Home Secretary Yvette Cooper. I'd also like to thank the former Police and Crime Minister Diana Johnson, as well as the current Minister Sarah Jones, who I can already tell has been great to work with and shares the same passion as us. I'd also like to extend a massive thank you to Sarita Mitchell and team for all the hard work they've put into delivering the ban on ninja swords and strengthening Ronan's law and always making us feel heard. And a massive thank you, of course, to the MPCC lead, Commander Clayman, for all the work you have done highlighting the issue on the online sale of weapons and for publishing the extensive research document, which I think is on the table as well, on the online sale of weapons. I have no doubt that this centre is going to be successful in our joint mission to halve knife crime. And a big thank you to the entire Met team. Each of you has been great to work with, and to the outstanding Home Office team, and of course to the amazing coalition members. And the biggest thank you to my incredible mum, Nikita Kanda OBE. I really do learn from you every single day. That's why I'm here right now, mate. Ronan, your life will not go in vain, as we will continue to try our best to ensure more work is done against knife crime. When you have lost trust in the system, you help people believe in it again. And that's exactly what all of you have done. Let's keep this momentum going, keep working together, and keep turning the tide on knife crime. Thank you.